What's up, everybody? This is the Sports Leak Podcast. Back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak, and this is the 2024 NFL Draft Grades episode. The draft is complete, and 2024 draft uh, did not disappoint. It was a blast. It was a lot of fun. The first round, all the way through the seventh round, a lot of surprises. You know just a lot of craziness. We saw some things that had never happened before. We saw six quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks, first time in NFL draft history, and then no quarterbacks taken after number 12 until the fifth round. So six quarterbacks in the first round in the first 12 picks, and then nothing until the fifth round when the Saints take Spencer Rattler. And so that you can see the quarterback desperation in that. That there's quarterbacks that NFL teams see as uh, potential franchise quarterbacks or guys that they think they can develop into franchise quarterbacks, and the need for that. A lot of teams that need quarterbacks, and even teams that needed quarterbacks that didn't end up getting them, and so you just see the quarterback desperation. It's a quarterback run league, and if you don't have the franchise quarterback, then you're desperate, and you need to upgrade. It's why the New England Patriots didn't trade back, because they knew they needed a quarterback. I probably would have traded back because I'm not a big Drake May fan, but it's quarterback desperation when starting quarterbacks, when the quarterback room is Jacoby Brissett and Bailey Zappi, and you just missed out or failed to develop Mac Jones, and he turned out to be a bust. You know, it just goes to show that you have to be aggressive and you have to do everything you can to get the franchise quarterback, and then we'll talk about what the Falcons did coming up, which is the you know, craziest move, the craziest plan. I'm not sure what the Falcons are doing, but they got two quarterbacks. That's how desperate these teams are. Um, and then yeah, any quarterbacks taken in the fifth round or later, those are backups, And some people might try to talk you into some of these quarterbacks, like a Spencer Rattler or a Joe Mixon, uh, you know, um, or Joe Milton. Sorry, Joe Milton that went to the Patriots. But really, you know, they're hoping the first six picks are, and I don't think the first six picks are franchise quarterbacks. I think that a couple teams reached, you know, and they're hoping that it's going to work out. So let's get into this. Let's start with the first, 12. Let's go the first 13 picks, really. We're going to talk about these real quick. The Bears draft Caleb Williams. That was a no-brainer, right? Everyone knew the Bears were going to take Caleb Williams. They traded away Justin Fields, and now the Caleb Williams era can begin in Chicago. He's a very confident quarterback. He's got arm talent for days. He can make every throw. He's got great escapability. He can shrug off sacks and extend plays with his legs. He's always looking downfield for the big shot play, downfield, a big home run ball. And, you've got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and those guys. And then the Bears really doubled down. Really, Caleb Williams was the pick that we all knew was coming. But not many people, a lot of people thought that Rome Odunze wouldn't fall to pick number 9. And the Falcons kind of helped the Bears out with their pick at 8. But with Rome Odunze being available, I said before, if Rome Odunze or Dallas Turner was available there, I think the Bears would have picked him. But Rome Odunze, I get it. Like, you've got Caleb Williams, you believe he can be successful immediately, and you want to give him the best chance to be successful right away. So bringing in Rome Odunze to go with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore gives you a ridiculous receiving core. 3 really good receivers. And I think Rome Odunze is going to be very good right away, and Caleb Williams as well. So you're really going to see the potential of this Bears offense. This Bears offense will turn around in a hurry, I believe. Caleb Williams is going to come in and inject tons of energy into this franchise. You know, the Bears can push him and say he's the franchise quarterback. He's the star that the Bears have been waiting for forever, you know, since Sid Luckman. And, uh, really, I mean, as much as it sucks to see Justin Fields go and the potential that we saw with him, Caleb Williams, it has more, and then he has the luxury of elite weapons that Justin Fields never really had. So with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, and then you bring in Gerald Everett as well. So that's two tight ends. You got DeAndre Swift to go with Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson. Bears have got a loaded offense. And to hit on picks 1 and 9 and get, the third best receiver in the draft and the best quarterback in the draft potentially, and a star franchise quarterback and maybe a star wide receiver potentially, If Keenan Allen's only here for 1 year, then you've got Rome Odunze and DJ Moore, which is a hell of a 1-2 punch. I think Odunze is going to be a great pro. So the Bears really hit a home run at picks 1 and 9. So if you're a Bears fan, you're very optimistic. You're very excited about the future. Going to pick 2, the Washington Commanders take Jaden Daniels. And I love this pick for the Commanders. I said it on my mock draft. I was like, you've got a new ownership, you've got a new head coach, you've got a fan base that's desperate for some excitement and reason, for optimism. So you draft Jaden Daniels, potential to be a franchise quarterback, a dual threat, reigning Heisman winner. We all saw what he did at LSU last year. So he's going to bring excitement. Much like Caleb Williams with the Bears, Jaden Daniels to the Commanders brings a ton of excitement. The fan base is going to be buying those jerseys and can't wait for preseason training camp, and for the season to kick off and see what Jaden Daniels can be. You brought in Marcus Mariota, who can be an excellent, backup, but really a quarterback coach. I think we all expect Jaden Daniels to start week 1, and and Mariota is just a veteran quarterback coach. Mariota was taken number 2 overall, and I believe the 2015 draft. So he knows what it's like to have those expectations, to need to, the pressure to win now and the pressure to be a franchise quarterback. So he can mentor Jaden Daniels. Marcus Mariota was also a dual threat quarterback. So he can advise Jaden Daniels on how to protect himself, how to not take the big hit, how to get out of bounds, how to slide properly, and just do the most he can to protect himself. Um, some people are saying, it reminds me of the RG3 pick. I mean, RG3 was elite until he got hurt, and so if that's the name of the game, is that they have to protect themselves and stay healthy, and the team has to do everything they can to teach them to stay healthy and protect themselves, slide early, get out of bounds, don't take those unnecessary hits that sometimes running quarterbacks will take. But you also brought in running back Austin Eckler to go with Brian Robinson Jr. That's a hell of a, backfield right there because of Jaden Daniels' threat with his legs. And then Austin Eckler's running ability, along with his pass catching ability, the mesh point with Brian Robinson as well. That's a tough backfield to defend. And then on the outside, then you've got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. You draft Christian McCaffrey's younger brother, Luke McCaffrey, in the 3rd round, and that's a good pick. I mean, you look at the success that Christian has had in this league. He's an absolute star. He's the best running back in the league. And then, if you remember, for the old school fans, Ed McCaffrey, who was a Broncos wide receiver when they won 2 Super Bowls, and a 49ers receiver. And Ed McCaffrey was a hell of a receiver, very underrated, very solid for many years, and so that pedigree, that is good. The McCaffrey name, there's a reason that they're in the NFL. And so Luke McCaffrey can be an excellent, Excellent guy, an excellent option there. You also got De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus. So then you got the tight ends. You brought in Zach Ertz. You draft Ben Sinnott in the second round out of Kansas State. Another excellent pick. So the Commanders have a lot of optimism, a lot of excitement, and I think Jaden Daniels was the right pick at number 2 overall. There was people trying to tell me early in the draft process that Drake May should be the number 2 overall pick, uh, but I disagreed with them. I always thought that Jaden Daniels is and Caleb Williams are the top 2 picks easily for quarterbacks. Top 2 most talented quarterbacks in the draft. So good pick for the Commanders there. Then the Patriots got offered trade offers by the Giants and the Vikings to move up to 3. And I said going into the draft that I believe Drake May was going to be the number 3 overall pick. It wasn't going to be J.J. McCarthy. It was going to be Drake May. Now, I don't agree with that. I think that Drake May has bust written all over him. I really do. And the Patriots, if I were the Patriots, I would have traded back. And I would have, with Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels gone, I would have traded him back. Maybe J.J. McCarthy falls to me, maybe Michael Penix, but I would not have taken Drake May. But they stay put. They don't take the trade offers, and they take Drake May, number 3 overall. And the Patriots are, I don't like this situation. Looking at the Patriots, it reminds me a lot of the Mac Jones situation, and I think that I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I don't think Drake May starts the season. I don't think he starts week 1. I think Jacoby Brissett is going to get a few starts, and Drake May will come in mid-season, maybe week 3, week 4, somewhere around there, because Brissett isn't going to be able to hold him back. The Patriots aren't going to really win with Jacoby Brissett in a very tough division. So, especially with Aaron Rodgers potentially healthy and what the Jets are doing over there. So Drake May is going to be forced into action sooner than later. They do draft Jalen Polk, wide receiver out of Washington. He has potential to be a number 1 receiver for the Patriots, but they don't have a lot of offensive talent, in my opinion. I'm not, a huge fan of the receivers. They did get Javon Baker in the 4th round, but they got Juju Smith-Schuster, Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas. They did add KJ Osborne from the Vikings, but just not a lot there, in my opinion. Okay, but not great. You got Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper at tight end. Okay, but not great. And then you got Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson at running back. I just think the Patriots, it's going to be tough for Drake May. I really think so. They also drafted Joe Milton. And who knows, if Drake May busts out, and doesn't be the guy that they are hoping, they'll give Joe Milton a shot. We'll see. But I'm not a big fan of these Tennessee quarterbacks, whether it's Hendon Hooker, Joe Milton, Josh Dobbs. I'm just not a big Tennessee quarterback fan since Peyton Manning. So Peyton Manning's the last good quarterback to come out of Tennessee. But yeah, I'm not sold on this pick for the Patriots. And we'll see. It's up to Gerard Mayo. It's up to Alex Van Pelt, who I'm not a big fan of either, at offensive coordinator. The pressure's on them. It's post Bill Belichick era, and I just think the Patriots, it's going to be an adjustment. It's going to be tough to get back to winning without Bill Belichick there. I think it's going to be a while before the Patriots are a contending franchise again. You don't lose Bill Belichick and get better, in my opinion, and I'm just not sold on Drake May, the prospect, either. Marvin Harrison Jr. goes number 4 to the Cardinals. A great pick for the Cardinals. The best, the most complete, the safest pick in the draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. He's elite. He's gonna be a superstar wide receiver. I don't have any doubts about that. Great addition for Kyler Murray with the Cardinals. He's gonna love throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr. My favorite stat on Marvin Harrison Jr. is that he was super productive with C.J. Stroud. Stroud leaves for the NFL. He remains just as productive without C.J. Stroud. Um, you know, I always forget that Ohio State quarterback's name that came in after him, Kyle McCord. And so he was just as productive as him. So with Kyler Murray, they got Desmond Ritter as the backup in Arizona now. Marvin Harrison's going to get a lot of targets. I like Michael Wilson as well, third round pick last year out of Stanford. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the man in Arizona. And, NFL comparisons to Larry Fitzgerald. His dad is a Hall of Fame wide receiver. They also draft running back Trey Benson in the third round. So he's got good potential as well. I like Trey Benson a lot. He can back up James Conner. I like what the Cardinals are doing. Love the Marvin Harrison Jr. pick. Joe Alt to the Chargers at 5. A lot of us thought maybe Malik Neighbors, but listen to Jim Harbaugh. He's offensive line, trenches, toughness, running game. That's what he's bringing to LA, and Charger fans should be excited because that a lot of people will say, that's not modern football, and Jim Harbaugh would say disagree completely. And you look at what he just did at Michigan, winning a national championship with exactly that style, and what he did at San Francisco, going to the Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick and that nasty defense with the 49ers. Jim Harbaugh believes strongly in building the trenches, offensive and defensive line. He wants to have a dominant defense, and he wants to run the ball, play ball control, and be a smash mouth, a tough football team. And I love this pick for the Chargers, Joe Alt. He's worthy of the number 5 overall pick. And, you got to protect Justin Herbert, right? He was hurt a lot last year. You got to protect him. They also take wide receiver Ladd McConkey in the second round and wide receiver Brendan Rice and Cornelius Johnson in the 7th round. So they draft 3 wide receivers to go with Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston. So the Chargers, not bad. They're it's a tough division, but I think they're going to be in the hunt year one. I really do. I think that they're going to have a big bounce back year, and there's no reason they can't win 9 games, potentially 10 games. Jim Harbaugh is going to turn this team around real quick. And yeah, the key is protect Justin Herbert, and they went and got Joe Alt. Jim Harbaugh establishing his identity with that Chargers organization right away. That means Malik Neighbors falls to pick 6. The Giants jump on him. The Giants offered a trade up to number 3 for potentially Drake May. The Patriots declined it. Now the Giants are trying to leak out saying that was for Joe Alt or something like that. But we all know the Giants are not completely sold on Daniel Jones, even though they just gave him a lot of money. And last offseason, they did bring in Drew Lock. So if Daniel Jones does struggle, Drew Lock is a capable backup that can come in and win you some football games. And he's desperate for another opportunity to start in this league. So Drew Lock might get an opportunity if Daniel Jones continues to struggle or can't stay healthy. But adding Malik Neighbors is a great addition. He's a superstar, number 1 wide receiver in that Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase mold. He's going to be an absolute stud in this league as long as he stays healthy. And put him next to Jalen Hyatt. That's an excellent 1-2 punch at receiver. 2, young, absolute athletic, great receivers. So you like that for the Giants to go with Darren Waller and those guys, Daniel Bellinger. So good pick for the Giants with Malik Neighbors at 6. Surprised he fell to 6, but I mean, Chargers take Joe Alt, so it falls in their lap. Titans take J.C. Latham at 7. A lot of people talking about Joe Alt to the Titans at 7. The Chargers taking him early, so the Titans take J.C. Latham at pick 7. A good pick. It was an obvious need for the Titans. They would definitely, I think, have preferred Joe Alt, but J.C. Latham has potential to be an absolute star tackle, and he's the Taylor Lewan replacement. So you put him at left tackle, you protect Will Levis, and give him time to get the ball out to DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Treylon Burks, and those stud receivers. and Tony Pollard out of the backfield. So I like this pick for the Titans, and all their success hinges around number 8, Will Levis. Can he be the franchise quarterback that they're hoping he can be? They did bring in Mason Rudolph as a backup. They still have Malik Willis, but without Will Levis, I know Mason Rudolph went 3-0 to make the playoffs for the Steelers, but without Will Levis, this Titans team isn't going anywhere. Without him, being the guy that they need him. 180 million contract this offseason, to be the big time quarterback upgrade that they needed, and then you go and you take Michael Penix Jr. at number 8. This is the shocker of the draft. They didn't give Kirk Cousins much of a heads up. I think they told him like 15 minutes before the pick, and Kirk Cousins and his agent were not happy. Cousins was reportedly, quote, stunned and disappointed. Um, because, and it's not because, Kirk Cousins, and he said this when he came in, that he felt like what he was lacking in Minnesota that he had found in Atlanta, which was ownership, management, coaching staff, everyone on the same page, working together to try to win a championship and get rid of that bad taste of that 28-3 blown loss in the Super Bowl out of their mouth. And Kirk Cousins was what he thought was brought to Atlanta to take them into the playoffs and potentially on a deep playoff run and try to get back to a Super Bowl and even win it. But if you're the Falcons, if that's your goal, then why wouldn't you take Michael Penix Jr. here? Or why wouldn't you take Dallas Turner here? Or whoever your top edge is, right? Or even Byron Murphy. Any of those picks, because those guys help you make your team better right now. The issue with Michael Penix is that no matter what, if Kirk Cousins is great, then Michael Penix is going to have to sit for at least 2 years, right? If Kirk Cousins is great and leading the Falcons on deep playoff runs, Michael Penix is going to be sitting. And if Kirk Cousins struggles and Michael Penix does have to come in, then you look like an idiot for giving Kirk Cousins all that money. If I was the Falcons, I would have kept all that money on the Kirk Cousins deal, traded for Justin Fields, like many of us thought they should have done, and then draft Michael Penix. And then you can have that competition between Penix and Fields. And there's not that pressure, like Kirk Cousins. You think about it, the city of Atlanta and the fans of the Falcons, they've had Michael Vick. They know, they like that type of quarterback. And Michael Penix comes in here under the radar athletic. Like he can run a little bit. He's pretty fast and a great arm, an elite arm talent, elite arm strength. He's gonna have to develop a little bit, but you can see it when he throws the ball. Falcons fans are gonna be chanting for Michael Penix Jr. week 1. I'm telling you, they're not gonna be patient. Kirk Cousins isn't their guy. Michael Penix is. And the second, all these media guys, a lot of Falcons fans are saying, oh, the media is overreacting and trying to make a story about clicks and headlines and all that. It's true. I'm telling you, Falcons fans, the local media, the national media is going to be all over this on a week-to-week basis from now until Kirk Cousins gets benched. Like, Michael Penix is the guy in Atlanta. I'm telling you that. You don't take him number 8 overall and have him not be the guy. And you look at the success that he's had with the Washington Huskies the last 2 years, his ability to stay healthy the last 2 years after injury issues at Indiana. It's going to be tough to manage in Atlanta. And Penix is not going to be sitting for long. There's no way that they can, unless Kirk Cousins is playing at an unreal level. There's no way. The minute Kirk Cousins throws a pick six or misses a deep receiver that's open for a touchdown, you're gonna hear "We want Penix, we want Penix," and it's gonna be tough to manage for Atlanta. And it doesn't make the team that much better right now drafting a quarterback there at number 8. If you had taken my Romo Dunze, then you'd be talking about Kirk Cousins and that elite receiving core. If you were talking about Dallas Turner or Laiatu Latu or even Jared Verse, you'd be talking about the D line getting a lot better and and all that. Now the thing to keep an eye on with Kirk Cousins is his Achilles injury, but Atlanta, his contract is not set up to use that injury as a way out of that money. They're on the hook for it. So as long as Kirk Cousins does what he's supposed to do, which he will, he's been professional his entire career. So Atlanta's in a bind here. Michael Penix is a great prospect. You know, I like the player. I don't like the fit. Michael Penix can't be that happy either, right? Like he was hoping to be a day one starter. And I think this is the what screwed up the draft because I think the Raiders, a lot of people, there was talk about Michael Penix Jr. falling, even into the second round, which I never believed. He's a first round pick, and I believe he was worthy of going number 13 overall to the Raiders. And I thought that's what was going to happen. And for the Falcons to take him at 8 really screwed up the Raiders draft and their plan as well. So the dominoes of this thing are crazy. So Michael Penix goes number 8 to the Falcons. We're going to be talking about that all off season, all season long. Again, Romo Dunze 9 to the Bears. Love that pick. The Vikings straight up to number 10. Worried about the Raiders, I believe, because the quarterbacks are already at that point. 4 of them are gone. Only 2 left that they believed are starter franchise quarterback potential. So the Vikings go and get the guy they've been linked to this whole time, J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. That's a great situation for J.J. McCarthy because he doesn't have to start week 1. He can sit behind Sam Darnold. We'll see how well Darnold does. I don't expect Sam Darnold to do that well. And so J.J. McCarthy, I think, starts multiple games as a rookie. I don't think Sam Darnold will be able to hold him off much further than week 4, week 5, week 6 at the most. So J.J. McCarthy is going to get plugged in there. He's got Aaron Jones at running back, Ty Chandler. He's got Justin Jefferson at receiver, Jordan Addison. You got T.J. Hawkinson at tight end. You got weapons on that offense for the Vikings. And then you've got Kevin O'Connell as the head coach, offensive play caller. So you're in a good spot if you're J.J. McCarthy. And this is a good pick for the Vikings. They didn't really have to trade up. They didn't have to give up a lot to go to pick 3 or pick 4 or 5 or 6. They only moved up to 10 and were able to get the guy they wanted pretty much all along. So Vikings got to be happy with how they came out of this draft. And especially with the fact that they were able to keep their number 23 overall pick, trade that up to pick 17, and take my number 1 edge in the draft, Dallas Turner. I thought he was worthy of a top 10 pick. He falls to 17, but Dallas Turner is a beast, and he'll be their Danielle Hunter replacement. And you put him opposite Jonathan Grenard, and you've got something there in Minnesota. So I love that. I love what the Vikings did in the draft. They get a high grade from me. That worked out pretty well for the Vikings. So then we go to pick 11. The Jets traded back with the Vikings. So at pick 11, they take tackle Olu Fashanu. Everyone talking about they brought in, they traded for Morgan Moses. They brought in Tyron Smith. But those are 2 old, injury hit tackles that aren't, can't be relied on for a full season, let alone multiple seasons. So you go and you draft Olu Fashanu. Good pick, good value pick at 11. And the goal is what? Protect Aaron Rodgers, and run block for Breece Hall. So good stuff there for the Jets. I love what they did there. So at pick 12, A lot of people are like the Broncos love Bo Nix, right? What are they gonna do if you're the Raiders? Should you have tried to trade up for Bo Nix? I don't think the Raiders were in on Bo Nix, and a lot of people are saying if the Broncos don't take Bo Nix at 12, how far does Bo Nix fall? Out of the first round, late first round. But the quarterback desperation and the fact that the Broncos had what Jarrett Stidham and they brought in what Zach Wilson. So the fact that that was their quarterback room, they had to take Bo Nix, and they take Bo Nix number 12 overall. That's definitely a reach for Bo Nix, but Sean Payton doesn't care. He believes that he sees Drew Brees type ability in Bo Nix and that he can develop him and get the most out of him. So Bo Nix goes to the Denver Broncos. All eyes are going to be on that situation. Again, they ate the most dead cap double, the most in previous. So they doubled it and letting Russell Wilson go. So they're going to be scrutinized, because I thought that Russell Wilson was still a pretty good quarterback in Denver last year at times. So they're going to be scrutinized for how they handle this, what happens here. They did bring in Zach Wilson from the Jets, and now they've got Bo Nix, so that'll be their quarterback room. And can Bo Nix beat out Zach Wilson and get the Week 1 start? Right, that's the big question. He should be able to, but we'll see. And I'm not really high on Bo Nix, but Sean Payton is, so we're gonna trust Sean Payton. We're gonna see what he can do. They got Cortland Sutton, Josh Reynolds, you know, Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine. They draft Audric Estime. They got some weapons. We'll see what they can do with it. But a lot of eyes are going to be on Denver to see how they handle this with Bo Nix. So the Raiders, you get to pick 13, and it's like all the quarterbacks are off the board. What are you going to do? Take Spencer Rattler? No, you're not. So the Raiders are then forced to take tight end Brock Bowers, which is an excellent talent at tight end. You team him up with Michael Mayer. So you've got an excellent 1-2 punch at tight end. And pretty much, it looks to me right now that the Raiders are going to go into Week 1 with Gardner Minshew as the starting quarterback, Aiden O'Connell as the backup, and run it with that quarterback room. And Gardner Minshew almost led the Colts to the playoffs last year. I don't think Gardner Minshew is good enough. They're in a tough division, especially with the Chiefs, and the Chargers are getting better. So I don't see the Raiders making the playoffs. I don't see, they're still going to be looking for their franchise quarterback. Raiders fans have to be a little disappointed. Raiders management and ownership have to be a little disappointed they couldn't get their quarterback of the future in this draft. I think they were really hoping Michael Penix would fall to them at 13, and he didn't. Atlanta screwed that up for them. So we'll see what they look like this year. But I don't have high expectations for this Raiders team with Gardner Minshew. I think they'll be decent, but I think their ceiling is 8 wins. I think they're a 6 to 8 win team. So we'll see. But you can see why the quarterback desperation is what it is. You got to get that quarterback. So the Colts at pick 15 finally take the first defensive player off the board. They take Edge Laiatu Latu out of UCLA. He was not my top edge, but he's got the tools, he's got the traits, he's got the skill set to be an elite edge in the NFL. You put him along with Kwity Paye, Samson Ebukam, DeForest Buckner on that D line. You've got some dudes over there if you're the Colts. Um, and we'll see. The key for Indy is Anthony Richardson staying healthy, Jonathan Taylor staying healthy. You bring in A.D. Mitchell to go with Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce. So the Colts are not bad, and we'll see what happens. But it's surprising. It's crazy that it took until pick 15 for a defensive player to come off the board. But I heard some people have some good takes on this. It's like scoring has been down league wide for the last couple of years, so you can see the NFL, the push is to add offensive talent, and plus it was just a strong offensive draft. That doesn't mean that defensive players. There's a lot of talk about defenders can't do their job anymore. The hip drop tackle is banned, and all that. But defense is still a major part of the game, and you're still going to see it be very impactful. And you saw some edges and some corners, going in the rest of the first round. So let's look at the rest of the first round here. The 2024 NFL drafts, and you see some more defensive players coming off the board. The second edge, Byron Murphy goes 16, the defensive tackle to the Seahawks. Good pick there for Seattle. Let me pull up the Seahawks here. I mean, I think I would have gone edge, but defensive tackle makes some sense. You put him alongside Jaron Reed. You've got Boye Mafe. You've got Darrell Taylor. You've got Leonard Williams that you brought in from the Giants. Uchenna Nwosu, who I like a lot. So they've got some weapons. Byron Murphy, some people were talking about him going as high as number 8 to the Falcons. So good value pick there for the Seahawks at 16. Dallas Turner falls to pick 17, and the Vikings really played this so well to be able to get J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner. That's why I have a high grade on them in my draft grades. I mean, J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner, that's going to help this team a lot. It's a Danielle Hunter replacement. You can put him opposite Jonathan Grenard, who they brought in from the Texans. I love this for the Vikings. They killed it. They get a high draft grade from me as well. Let's go to the Bengals take tackle Amarius Mims. Got to protect Joe Burrow. Good pick there. A high potential tackle from Georgia. Still as a project, still getting better over time. Jared Verse, the Rams double dip with edges out of Florida State, going Jared Verse and then Braden Fisk. They lose Aaron Donald, but they shore up that D line alongside Kobe Turner with 2 rookies from Florida State. Jared Verse was my number 2 rated edge. Liked him a lot. A lot of mocks had him going to my Chicago Bears. Good value pick at 19 here for the Rams. Jared Verse out of Florida State. Edge was definitely a need. If you watched the Rams play last year and watched them in the playoff game against the Lions, had to address the edge, and they do that with their first 2 picks in the 2024 draft. The Steelers take guard / tackle / center. Very versatile offensive lineman Troy Fatanu out of Washington. So to help protect Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, help run block for Najee Harris and Jalen Warren and those boys with the Steelers. The Steelers continue to kill it. Chop Robinson, the edge, goes to the Miami Dolphins. Good pick there. Good value pick. Chop Robinson, you still need to see the production, but the talent is obvious. And you team him up, with Jalen Phillips. And, it was a need to get some more edge help. You got Bradley Chubb, you got Shaq Barrett. They also drafted Mo Camara out of Colorado State. So good draft for the Dolphins. Quinyon Mitchell, a lot of the top corner in most people's evaluation, most people's mocks, falls all the way to pick number 22, and the Eagles snag the top corner, Quinyon Mitchell, at pick 22. I don't know how the Eagles do it every year. Last year, Jalen Carter fell to them. This year, Quinyon Mitchell falls to them. The Eagles just kill it every draft, and people wonder why they're loaded with talent. And they just do such a great job every year. They also got Cooper DeJean in the second round, very versatile nickel / safety. Michael Jenkins comparison, or Malcolm Jenkins. I mean, they get Jalex Hunt in the third round, Will Shipley, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in the fifth round out of Clemson, son of the former Eagle, Pro Bowler Jeremiah Trotter. So love what the Eagles did in this draft. They do it every year. Brian Thomas Jr. falls to pick 23 and goes to the Jags. Excellent pick here for Jacksonville. You lose Calvin Ridley, but and Zay Jones after the pick, but still excellent addition at wide receiver. You brought in Gabe Davis from Buffalo. Now you draft Brian Thomas Jr. You've got Christian Kirk, and a name to keep an eye on coming up is Parker Washington as well, who I like a lot out of Penn State, a rookie last year. But Brian Thomas Jr. is probably, immediately going to be the best receiver on this team. And then you've got Gabe Davis as an excellent number two, Christian Kirk, Parker Washington, etc. So I love that pick for the Jags, Brian Thomas Jr. A great ad for Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. Terrion Arnold, the Lions trade up and take Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. A lot of people's top corner alongside Quinion Mitchell. Terrion Arnold, excellent addition to a Lions secondary that is getting completely overhauled. They traded for Carlton Davis. They brought in Amik Robertson. So now you add Terrion Arnold. You drafted Brian Branch last year, who was an excellent pick, great value pick in the second round. And now Terrion Arnold. I'm a huge Carlton Davis fan as well. So the Lions, one of the big weaknesses last year was a secondary, is now a lot better in the secondary. So great job of the Lions of addressing that need. Packers go tackle Jordan Morgan, David Bakhtiari replacement, good pass blocker, athletic corner, needs to work a little bit on his strength, but he's a good prospect. Graham Barton at center to the Bucks. Love what the Bucks did in the draft. The Ryan Jensen replacement with Graham Barton, protect Baker Mayfield. Love what the Bucks are doing. They had an excellent draft. They also got Jalen McMillan out of Washington in the third round to go with, already loaded Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Trey Palmer. Now you add Jalen McMillan. The Bucks have got it going on. They had a really good draft. Bucky Irving as well, a running back in the fourth round out of Oregon. Put him behind Rachaad White. Good 1-2 punch there. The Chiefs trade up with Buffalo and get the fastest receiver in combine history and with the 40, Xavier Worthy. So a little bit of concerns about what's going to happen with Rashee Rice, but the Chiefs trade for Hollywood Brown and now bring in Xavier Worthy. So, they're constantly continuing to build around Patrick Mahomes. Now you got Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. We'll see on Rashee Rice. They draft tight end Jared Wiley out of Kansas State, or no, out of TCU. So a good addition there to go with Travis Kelce and Noah Gray and Irv Smith Jr. So the Chiefs, there's a reason that they're the back-to-back defending champs. They know what they're doing. Tyler Guyton, tackle out of Oklahoma, goes to the Cowboys. Corner Nate Wiggins to the Ravens. Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver out of Florida, to the 49ers. The Bills again. I don't know why the Bills traded back twice out of the first round, allowing two teams to get wide receivers. The Panthers get wide receiver Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. Excellent addition for Carolina. For the Panthers, Xavier Legette. That's a wide receiver number one coming in right there. So you got Adam Thielen. Now you add Xavier Legette. You traded for Deontay Johnson. Now you got Jonathan Mingo, Terrace Marshall Jr. So now you're building some better weapons around Bryce Young. You also draft running back Jonathan Brooks out of Texas to go with Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders. So the Panthers are slowly, also tight end Jatavian Sanders. Panthers are putting together a decent offense around Bryce Young. So you actually love to see that. And I was critical of the Bills for trading out of the first round, allowing two teams to come up and get wide receivers. But they completely redeemed themselves with pick number 33, the first pick of the second round. They take one of my sleepers of the draft, one of my favorite guys. Some people had him fall into the third round, but I think he's a first round talent. Wide receiver Keon Coleman out of Florida State. And every year I fall in love with a receiver, whether it's that falls for no reason, whether it's DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, George Pickens. This year, my guy is Keon Coleman out of Florida State. And I tweeted, that's a future star right there. You heard it here first. The Bills got their next star receiver in Keon Coleman. They lost Stephon Diggs. They lost Gabe Davis. Now they've got Keon Coleman to go with Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel and Mac Hollins and Justin Shorter. Keon Coleman is going to be the guy for Josh Allen going forward. He's a big body, 6'3", 215 receiver that can go up and out jump defenders and make the big deep ball touchdown pass catches, big time red zone threat. Keon Coleman, everyone, keep an eye on him. Future star in Buffalo. Bills fans are going to love that dude. I watched him closely at Michigan State, watched him closely at Florida State. He's an absolute star in the making. So, that's my first round recap, really. I had to add Keon Coleman because that's my favorite pick. And we'll be doing draft grades and more recap from the draft coming up this week, but we had to get an episode out. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned all season long for, you know, there is no off season in the NFL, so we're gonna keep coming out with content. We're gonna start doing our season preview episodes because the NFL never sleeps. Can never start too early. We also got the NBA playoffs going on. We got a potential Packers Hall of Famer interview on deck, and much more content coming out weekly. So Amanda should be back on next week. Pablo coming on soon. And, follow along. Appreciate the support, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. And have a great week, guys. Peace out.